Good morning and welcome to today's live stream, Finding New Customers. I'm Mike Giannotti from the UK and Ireland Google Marketing Solutions team. You know, every day, billions of searches happen on Google. And while those searches are for lots of different things, they have one thing in common. They're questions from a very real person in a particular moment of need with the hope of finding just the right answer. What that means is there's billions of moments where people want to find something, want to know something, want to watch something, or want to buy something. Today, we're going to learn from one business owner who's used Google AdWords to reach people in the right moment for his business. In a second, I'll introduce you to another Mike, Captain Mike Jennings of Cotswold Balloon Safaris. Mike was a professional balloon pilot around the world, flying in places like Turkey and India, but in 2014, he returned to the UK to start his own balloon company. 3 years later, his operation is still going strong. And along the way, Mike used AdWords to find customers all over the UK. He even attracted customers as far away as Brazil. So without further ado, let's chat to Mike. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. So before we get into a little bit more of the online marketing side of things, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with ballooning?
Well, when I left the army, didn't really know what to do. So I kind of floated around, oh, excuse the pun, yes, I sort of drifted around, not sure what sort of job to do. And I'm originally from Bristol, and Bristol's a big centre for ballooning. So I grew up watching balloons flying over our house or over the city centre. There's a big fiesta there every year in August. And a friend of mine worked at the Cameron Balloon Factory. And yeah, I mean, sort of the cards fell, and I sort of fell in with it. I mean, it started off with a part-time job, just for sort of pin money or beer money every now and again, retrieving and crewing for another big operation, big rides company. And from that, I got my first flight. And then I was hooked. I just completely fell in love with ballooning and the feeling of freedom and flying. And so I then started, I sort of set my mast to determined to qualify and to get my own balloon. Initially, just I thought I'd be a private pilot. I never realized I'd go on and take the commercial exams and do it professionally. But, it's been a great journey.
I've had the opportunity to go ballooning once, and it is just an amazing feeling. So what then caused you to want to start your own business?
Well, as you mentioned in your introduction, I started then freelancing, picking contracts up around the world, 6 months here, 6 months there, in New Zealand, Turkey, a lot of time in the Masai Mara in Kenya. And, after a while, I sort of started thinking, well, maybe, it's time to sort of settle back in the UK. I am basically a home bird. And whilst it's a fun occupation and it's a fun lifestyle and you get very well looked after, it can be quite a lonely one. You're sort of you're 6 months here, 6 months there, so it's difficult to put down roots.
Sure.
And then my father passed away, and that, if you like, was sort of like a catalyst, if you like, where I need to sort this out. And that gave me the motivation and the spur to, right, I'm going to do this now, because one thing that struck me about my father's death, was all the family were there, and so it was funny enough. It was nothing to do with ballooning. It was all about family, and all the family were around when he passed away. It was a beautiful way to go, very cathartic. But I sort of realised that, gosh, oh, great job here, great fun, lots of adventures. But I wanted to have a family, and I realised the importance of that. So, in a way, I needed something that was going to bring me back in the UK and give me a permanent career and a job back here in the UK, and kind of ballooning was a great opportunity to do that. Take the experience I got from working for all these big companies in all these different countries and apply it to the UK ballooning industry, which, if I'm quite honest with you, had fallen behind. There hadn't been any fresh injection of ideas or new use of new technology. So I thought that I could apply my experience, bring it here, shake up the industry a little bit, have some effective digital tools available to the passengers and customers, and that would give me my sort of unique selling point and my way into the UK market.
And of course, lots of people want to start their own business,
yes,
but it's a difficult thing once you actually
oh my goodness,
begin to do that. Can you
absolutely
tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you encountered when you were beginning?
I think one of the biggest challenges was first making the decision to do it. Gosh, everything's been a challenge. Don't get me wrong, everything's been a challenge. Making the decision to do it, writing the business plan. Do you know when you look at the business plan and you think, oh, this is what it's got to involve or got to contain, you know, it's a huge mountain. Oh my goodness me. And the only way I could do it was I broke it down and said, right, okay, today I'm going to write that paragraph. You know, okay, this first chapter or this heading needs to be about marketing. Okay, so I broke it down, do that this today, then tomorrow I'll take the next question or the next key phrase or paragraph heading. Thereafter, when I'd done that, was then going out and getting some funding. And because it was a little bit different, you know, there were lots of funding opportunities available and you could get funding from all different sources, particularly as an ex-British Forces, you know, there were schemes in place, but you had to try and sell it. You had to have the passion to sell it because it was a little bit different, bits out of the box. You know, if I wanted a van to set up a plumbing company, bang, there you go. You know, if I wanted some money to set up an office for a building, bang, there you go, off you go. Oh, you want to set up a ballooning company? Well, hot air balloons, you know, sends everybody into a bit of a tailspin. So that was one thing, is having be able to convey your ideas and the idea and the passion to say, look, you know, I believe in this, so should you. And thereafter, you know, it was it's been a heck of a ride after that, yeah.
And then you're running or flying, so to speak.
Yeah.
The business is up and running. Where do you go from there?
Well, at the moment we do a lot of passenger flights in the Cotswolds. Our passengers, our customers is pretty much, you know, all of UK. A certain, you know, a large percentage is London based, and you know, being able to use, because the website and because the business is geared up to take advantage of modern tools, you know, I can see where they're coming from because of the analytics, Google Analytics programs that we use. So that's great because that gives me an understanding of where the customers come from and who my customers are. But there's also an area of the balloon which I want to explore, which is the aerial work. So it's it's absolutely right for ballooning because, you know, we put so much money, and I'm guilty of this myself, in my advertising spend and the return on investment I can see and get from digital advertising. You know, I think too much we're overlooking the impact of physical advertising. You know, a billboard or a TV advert, something in the physical world. And ballooning is one of those unique concepts which transgress both. You know, I mean, particularly growing in Bristol, I remember the special shapes we used to fly, you know, Rupert the Bear or Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, I mean, I did a short contract in the US, and the space shuttle special shape balloon was always massively popular. You know, it was a great balloon. And you see that flying around, it sticks in your mind, it draws crowds, especially with smartphones now. People take photographs all the time, and then bang, it's online, it's on Facebook, you know, it's digital. So it draws a crowd and it captures people's imagination in the physical world, but it also then transforms into the digital world because of smartphones. So that's where I see the business expanding. Yes, I want to continue to understand where my passengers come from and market and provide a product that sort of suits them. So for example, I've shifted more of my launch sites through the season to reflect sites nearer and more easily accessible from London, because that's where most of my passengers come from. But also then to expand it going forward into the aerial side of it with, you know, marketing for large companies or special shaped balloons. So there's still a bright and exciting future ahead.
Yeah, great. And today's webinar is called Finding New Customers. So if you can tell us a little bit about when you got set up, how did you set that in motion? How did you go about finding new customers? And if you could tell us a little bit about the online components of that as well,
sure.
That'd be great.
Well, I mean, I touched briefly on the business plan, and a key part of that business plan was the marketing. You know, I was coming into an industry which had been established in the UK for a long time, you know, and there were some solid players there, albeit, in my opinion, I thought they were a little bit out of date in the way in which they presented themselves and they operated. But still, you know, I had to compete against those guys. And when you put into organic search engines, you know, I was way down, absolutely way down. So I had to try and introduce myself and, if you like, muscle in to that sort of market. You know, when you've been established for 20 years and flying people, you may have a website that looks like it was built in the 1970s, which it probably was. But you know, I still had to be there. I still had to get that prominence and that, you know, that shop window, if you like, for people to, as long as I got that, and as long as I got the conversions, I thought, well, people are going to look at mine and the systems I provide and my website, and then they're going to perhaps compare it, and hopefully just getting them through the door and then into the front of the shop window was enough, I think, to them to say, you know, this looks like a good professional company, we'll go with them. And so it was key, really, to that initial marketing and business plan strategy to use Adwords, because it was a great way of kind of like, you know, muscling in on the first page and on the good
And introducing yourself, as you say, to customers, letting them know that you're there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the nuts and bolts of setting up with Adwords. What kind of keywords did you use? How did you sort of think about writing your ad copy? Any tips that you might have for other people, obviously outside of ballooning as well, that were things that you learned along the way?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a learning curve, of course. I mean, it was a scattergun approach. I've got to be honest with you. You know, I mean, I'm a balloon pilot. You know, I'm an analog man in a digital world, I can assure you. And you know, I was a new business, so my budgets were limited. I really had to, you know, get bang for my buck and return on investment. And I knew nothing about this. You know, I knew kind of what I wanted to do, and I knew what I wanted to achieve. Like, but getting there has been a journey, absolutely a journey. So to start with, I just, every word I could think of, a keyword that was associated with ballooning, you know, or why people buy balloon flights, you know, gifts, journey, flight experience, champagne, you name it. I kind of highlighted and stuck it as a keyword, and just sort of fired the shotgun and see what I hit, you know, really. And it was from that and from trying to improve my skills with analytics, you know, and goodness me, it's been a slow process. I mean, I still listen to Google web seminars, you know, things like this, the recent Google Academy that have been sort of shown on YouTube. I still tune in and listen to them because I still sort of learn, you know, and that's been part of the journey. That's been part of the pleasure. It's been a learning experience, and it's been fun learning it. So when I was doing that, I thought, okay, well, I can lose these, or, you know, I don't need those, or these are getting hits from people who aren't interested in balloon flight. They're interested in weddings, so I don't need to get rid of those. And then I started learning about, you know, increasing values by 10% or different times, and so you fine tweak it. You know, you've got to do it. It's certainly not a fire and forget. You know, if you're new to it, I would recommend just put down what you feel is your keywords. You know, you can always look at it, you can always see it, it's not getting any conversions, and you can get rid of it. But you don't know what's going to resonate and what's going to create those conversions. So the first one, but keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we always say is kind of put yourself in the shoes of the customer.
Yeah.
And think about how they would be searching for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
When it comes to kind of going back to those ideas of moments of need that a consumer or customer, a passenger might have, how do you think about when it's important for you to be reaching out to them? What are the moments where you say, I need to be there at that moment?
Fear. Fear. You know, I'm a small business. I need return on my investment. If I spend £1 on advertising, on anything, I need it to deliver £10, that sort of thing. So that's what keeps me following my marketplace, watching my customer and thinking, oh, there's something I can, something's happening, I can take advantage of that. Or my customers are going to be searching for this, you know, Valentine's Day, Black Friday, you know, gifts, that sort of thing. Obviously, Christmas is a big one. You know, and being a small business, I can react to things like that. I mean, yes, now 3 years on, there are more fixed strategies in place for those predictable events. You know, we have a strategy for Mother's Day, we have a strategy for Valentine's Day, and, you know, the start of spring, that kind of thing, and summer. But you still have to be able to react. And you know, a good example, and very recent one, is the cross-channel world record attempt at balloons flying across the channel. I knew it was happening because, you know, it was all the buzz in the chatter in the sort of ballooning world. So I knew it was going on and going ahead. And then they called it last minute, and all the balloons were assembled. It was on BBC, breakfast news, and shown throughout the day. So immediately I went on and react to that, knowing that it's going to be, people are going to see it on the televisions, knowing that they're going to be sort of searching for it or, you know, looking at online. So I thought, okay, so I doubled my budget for those particular days. As it happened, it's been such lovely weather. That was on Friday. It's been such lovely weather, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you know, where people are outdoors and doing things. I've left it there, but you know, when you know, as we get sort of back to the office tomorrow or sort of later on, I can bring that back down again. You know, because it's got that sort of that flexibility, which, you know, is the great thing about it.
Yeah, and I guess if you have any kind of last words for, you know, if somebody is just getting started today, and you know they're going to be going through this journey, and as you said, you know, you've gone through ups and downs, and both on the business side and the marketing side. Any last kind of thoughts that you might have that we haven't spoken about?
I mean, enjoy it. You know, it's a journey. It's a journey, and I thought to myself, if I don't, then I'm going to be spending an awful lot of time wishing I had done. But as far as, I mean, 3 years ago, I started the business 3 years ago. I'm still learning. I'm still avidly checking. You know, I check and compare to traffic last month, last year. You know, we've tripled our web presence. We're now first, second place in the organic search rankings. You know, use the platforms, use the technology, and enjoy it. You know, you've got to get yourself out there and believe in your product. I mean, I'm sure you would do it, or you wouldn't be starting the business. But yeah, I mean, keep an eye on it. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? You know, how I look on it now to how I looked on it then. I mean, it really was. You must keep your eye on it. Keep your eye on the ball. I mean, every day I was watching. Every day I was following keywords, dropping some, upping percentage on another, and eventually you'll find your rhythm, you'll find what works, you'll find what your customer is looking for, and then you can have a more strategic platform. You know, you can't do it at the expense of running the business and concentrate on the other things. And now we're Cotswold Balloon Safaris is in a phase where it's more planned and strategic. We use a partner to run our Adwords campaigns, and my only recommendation would be that way is to get a Google partner company, somebody who's reputable. You know, you get bombarded with amazing promises of what they can do for your search engine rankings and creating your business. You know, ignore them. It's easy to be wooed in and sort of taken over by some of these amazing promises. Go with a Google registered partner. I use a company called Affinity in Gloucester, which is near me, so we have that personal relationship. They can understand my business. I can understand what they are saying. You know, they use normal English words, and you know, it works really well now as a month-on-month strategy. Yes, and enjoy it, and go ballooning.
I definitely want to do that again.
Come ballooning.
It was a great
Come on down to the
experience.
Cotswolds.
Mike, thanks so much for coming down. Really appreciate you sharing your story, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
As we move into the summer, people are planning their holidays, starting new projects, and asking Google all sorts of questions. As Mike mentioned, the most important thing is that you can be found when potential customers are looking for you. But the hardest part is starting. The great news is that we have a team of experts that can help you get set up on Google AdWords today. They'll get to know your business, the people you want to reach, your goals, and then they'll set up an account for you. You can begin by calling the number that we'll put on the bottom of the screen now, or if you want to do it yourself, you can just visit adwords.co.uk. Thanks for joining us today.